Hi, scholars. It is Mrs. Layton. Welcome back to the Animals and Habitats unit. Today we are going to learn about Lesson 6, Animals of the Tropical Rainforest Habitat. As we start with any lesson in our Animals and Habitats unit, we do preview those vocabulary words. Be looking for those and listening for those today in our read aloud. Our first word is canopy. Please say canopy with me, scholars. Canopy. Thank you. A canopy is the top layer of the forest formed by the branches and leaves at the tops of trees. For example, the canopy of the forest shades the plants and animals below. The next word is colonies. Please say colonies with me. Colonies. Thank you. That is a group of the same kind of animals or plants living and growing together. For example, there were several ant colonies in his backyard. The next word is dense. Please say dense with me. Dense. Thank you. That means thick. For example, the rainforest is very dense because of the many plants that grow and live close together there. The next word is humid. That means wet and damp, containing a high amount of water or water vapor. For example, the air is often sticky and humid on a hot summer day. Our final vocabulary word is patterns. Please say patterns with me. Patterns. Thank you. Those are repeated shapes or designs. For example, it is fun to find patterns in artwork. Today's read aloud is about a different kind of forest that is located near the equator where it stays warm and wet all year long. This type of rainforest is called a tropical rainforest. This particular rainforest that Rattenborough and we will visit today is called the Amazon rainforest, and it is located on the continent of South America. As you can see in the yellow highlighted portion of the map, the Amazon rainforest is huge. It covers more than 1.4 billion acres in the following countries: Brazil, which has about 60% of the rainforest, Peru with 13% of the rainforest, and in the countries of Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Bolivia, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana all have parts of the Amazon rainforest. Our purpose for listening today, what is the goal, is to learn about one example of a tropical rainforest. And today we are learning about the Amazon rainforest. Hello there, Rattenborough reporting from a fascinating habitat. A habitat that has the greatest variety of plants and animals of any habitat on Earth. Welcome to the tropical rainforest. Tropical places are warm and wet. A rainforest is a thick forest of plants that stay green year-round. So, a tropical rainforest is a warm, wet, thick forest of plants that stay green year-round. There are tropical rainforests in many places around the world close to the equator. But the one we are visiting today is called the Amazon rainforest. It is in South America and is the largest tropical rainforest on Earth. The Amazon rainforest is so dense that a rat like me could easily get lost. Dense is another word that means thick, scholars. The plants in the tropical rainforest are thick because there are so many plants growing closely together. It is also very hot and very humid here. Because the warm temperature and rain, the air feels wet or humid. The temperature is always very warm and it rains heavily all year long. My fur is feeling very wet and sticky, and it's a good thing that I brought my umbrella. There are between 80 and 240 inches of rainfall here every year. That makes this one of the wettest places you can find on land. It is our comprehension question time. You can pause the video after I read the question, and you can say it out loud to someone in your family, or you can write down the answer and then restart the video so that you can compare your answer to mine. Number 1. What is a tropical rainforest? It is a forest that stays warm, wet, and green all of the time and has many different types of plants and animals.
Temperate deciduous forests, which you learned about last time, have broadleaf trees that lose all of their leaves in the fall. The Amazon rainforest also has broadleaf trees, but the main difference is that most of the trees here stay green all year long. The evergreen trees in this tropical rainforest replace their leaves gradually throughout the year as the leaves age and fall, so that the trees always look green and never have bare branches like the trees in the temperate deciduous forest. Because the climate here is the same all year round, plants do not need to slow down for cold winter weather, and the animals that live here always have a good supply of food all year too. Take a look around, scholars. The trees in the rainforest are so tall that they grow as tall as 13-story buildings, or as tall as a very, very tall building in a large city. And some grow much taller than that. I'm standing in a tree right now, and as you can see, the trees grow so thickly and so close together here that from above you can only see a canopy of thick green leaves. Now remember what a canopy is. It is something that blocks out the sunlight. In a tropical rainforest, the canopy is the highest layer of plants formed by the tallest tree's leaves. You can't see the forest floor at all in this picture. Because the sun's light can't get through this canopy of leaves, everything under them is really dark. I've brought my flashlight to help me see down there. It is comprehension question time again. Number 2. Why is it dark on the ground or floor of a tropical rainforest? The canopy made by the leaves of the tall trees blocks most of the sunlight. The plants in the Amazon rainforest have adapted to this climate in many ways. Because it is so dark in the rainforest underneath the canopy, most plants have large leaves so they can catch as much light as possible. Many of the plants have waxy leaves with ends that are tapered to help the water drip off them, like the water running off my umbrella, and just like this example that you see here. It is that comprehension question time again, scholars. Number 3. How have the plants adapted to live in the tropical rainforest? They reach for sunlight or need little sunlight. They have large leaves to collect the sunlight. They have waxy leaves to allow runoff of water, and the trees have large roots. Many types of vines grow in the rainforest. Vines are climbing plants that grow on trees or wind themselves around tree trunks. Many animals use the vines growing among the trees almost like sidewalks and ladders to cross from one tree to another. The rainforest floor is a very shaded place, which means it is a good habitat for mosses and fungi that don't need much sunlight. If you can believe it, scholars, there are even some plants that don't need any light at all to grow. They grow on the forest floor and get their energy from the rotting leaves instead of sunlight. I'm way up in a particular type of tree found in the Amazon rainforest called a kapok tree. Let's say those words together. Kapok tree. Thank you, scholars. I am up so high that you won't be able to see me. The kapok tree is one of the tallest trees around. The kapok has a very long trunk, and its branches and leaves form a canopy over the plants and animals below,
making it a good shelter for animals like birds, snakes, and monkeys. Speaking of animals, let's meet a few that live in the Amazon rainforest. Many types of interesting and colorful birds, frogs, insects, reptiles, and other animals live in the trees and other plants of the tropical rainforest. On the right side of our picture, you can see a toucan. These huge toucans use their large beaks to cut fruit from branches and to eat lizards as well as other birds. On the bottom left-hand side of the picture, you can see a macaw. Macaws, which are a type of parrot, travel in groups and use their hooked beaks to break into hard nuts and fruits. And you don't want to get too close to the poison arrow frog on the top left of the picture, which has poisonous skin to protect it from its predators. I'm back in the kapok tree, one of the very tallest trees in the forest, to see what kind of animals call this habitat home. Now, scholars, what is a habitat? A habitat is a place where an animal or plant normally lives and grows. Over here, I see a squirrel monkey. The squirrel monkey is a very friendly little animal, and it shares a lot of things in common with the squirrels that live in the temperate deciduous forests. The squirrel monkey is very small and has a very long, thin tail that it uses to help balance. It has strong legs that it uses to jump and run, and claws which help it climb up and down trees and vines. In fact, squirrel monkeys are so good at traveling by leaping and running along branches that they hardly ever touch the forest floor. The squirrel monkey is an omnivore. Scholars, do you remember what an omnivore is? An omnivore is an animal that eats both plants and other animals. The squirrel monkey eats insects, fruits, and flowers, and spends most of its time during the day moving around the forest to find food. The squirrel monkey has excellent eyesight, which is useful for finding small insects, fruits, and berries growing among the green leaves of the tropical rainforest trees. Squirrel monkeys live in large groups, making it harder for their predators, like eagles and snakes, to get them. Now, this monkey is acting a little strange, and experience has told me that this kind of behavior usually means there's trouble on the way. Aha! Yes, look who's coming! Some kind of snake. Snakes also tend to eat rats, so I'm going to climb up a bit higher and take a look from a distance. Wow, look at the size of this snake! It's a boa constrictor, one of the many kinds of snakes that live in the Amazon rainforest. It's a pretty big snake. This one is about 13 feet long. Boas can have slightly different coloring and patterns or repeated shapes or designs on their skin, but they are well camouflaged in the trees, plants, and vines of the forest. This boa constrictor, like all snakes, is a carnivore. Now, scholars, do you remember what a carnivore is? A carnivore is an animal that consumes other animals. It eats other animals such as bats, which are its favorite food, rodents, yes, even rats included, lizards, birds, and the small squirrel monkey. The boa constrictor is mostly nocturnal, so it comes out to hunt when it's getting dark like now. Snakes can eat animals that are much bigger than they are. This boa's jaws open very, very wide, so that when it finds an animal to eat, even animals such as birds and squirrel monkeys, it will be able to swallow it whole. The boa constrictor is not the only carnivore in the rainforest. In fact, it will have to watch out that it doesn't become dinner for a hungry jaguar like this one in the picture. Jaguars look a lot like leopards. They have tan fur with dark spots, but they are bigger than leopards, with shorter tails and legs, and bigger heads and paws. This jaguar is about 7 feet long and probably weighs about 200 pounds. Jaguars are very well adapted to living in the rainforest. They have a very sensitive hearing and an excellent sense of smell. A jaguar can see very well during the day and at night. All these things make it easier for it to find, stalk is another way to say follow, and catch its prey. I can barely hear the jaguar moving through the forest. That's because its paws are covered with a very thick fur with pads on the bottom. Because they can travel so quietly, jaguars don't have to run far to catch their prey. So instead of having long legs for running, they have short, strong legs that are good for pouncing on other animals from the ground, from trees, or even in the water. A jaguar spends most of the day resting and goes out to hunt at night. It's also very good at climbing trees, which means I should get out of here before it's able to sniff me out. I've moved to the bottom of the kapok tree onto the forest floor because there's one last, very interesting animal I want to show you. We better hurry. It's getting dark, and I may have to use my flashlight to show you. These are leafcutter ants. These ants burrow underground and make nests in groups called colonies. Let's say that word together again. Colonies. Thank you, scholars. Different ants in the colony have different responsibilities. There are worker ants, soldier ants, and their queen. The worker ants are traveling to the kapok tree nearby, where they will use their sharp jaws to bite off pieces of the leaves to bring back to their nest. Did you know that ants can carry up to 10 times their own body weight? That's pretty amazing, isn't it? The soldier ants are there to protect the worker ants on their way to and from the nest. These ants spend most of their lives working for food. Nature is pretty amazing, isn't it? Well, it's really quite dark now, and my fur has been sticking to me since we got here, so I think it's time to leave the hot and humid Amazon rainforest. We've learned a lot about this exotic habitat and its climate, and the plants and animals that have their homes here. Now, we will head to somewhere really different. Bye. See you next time.